Well, hello and welcome to this Moneycontrol live stream. Well, it's a brand new Samvat, in fact, which started with a sparkling note. Even though we have lost some mojo in today's session, we did manage to reclaim that 19,500 mark. What is Samvat 2080 looking like for the markets? Are we going to have a sparkling one? Is it going to be riddled with volatility, given the fact that we have crucial events lined up next year, or is it going to be Samvat of milestones, like how 2079 Samvat turned out to be for the markets when we hit that 20,000 mark for the first time ever? Well, we'll be doing some crystal ball gazing, in fact, and gazing rather, and we will be getting you some predictions not just for the Samvat but also for the week. In fact, that will be a regular feature on our website from now. In fact, we already have the first article up to discuss the way forward for the markets, what the charts are saying, how the stars are aligned for the markets. Well, I am joined by Mahesh Gowande, who's an equity futurologist as well as founder and director of Ion Analytics. Great to have you on the show, Mahesh.
So much.
First of all, wishing you a very happy Diwali and a prosperous year ahead.
Yeah.
I want to begin by asking you, as an equity futurologist, you've studied various business and capital market events, cycles. You have initiated the mapping of time. Correct. Right? So how does that really work in your predictions, and how much of a role do astrological elements have a role to play in that?
So practically what we actually do in the markets is, what we see in the market is about the result. Whatever actions we participants like traders or investors, long-time investors or big hedge funds, their activities reflected in the market. What we see as going up or going down is their outcome. Now there is a source. The thought is some few days back or maybe some months back, the event. What we see is the outcome. Today if we are seeing markets are going down, that means somebody has thought yesterday or maybe last week, and it is the outcome of that process. So as a time mapping, what I do is whatever actions taken today, how they will in future, they will show the results, how that event or those thought processes will actually explore the market or affect the market. That is how we actually do the time mapping.
Okay.
And very important part is human nature is very repetitive in behavior. We call habits, and practically our 85% of our actions, we do not use our brain. We practically, our muscle memory is what we actually do, and that's why the history keeps repeating and we keep doing the same thing and again and again. That's why time mapping becomes very easy, and you can actually look that.
Okay.
We'll show you well in a few forward these things.
Forward articles, yeah. But what about the astrological events? How do they impact your decision making or your predictions for the index going forward?
So in terms of astrological events, planets do not affect your day-to-day movements.
Okay.
It is us how we respond to their positions.
Okay.
It's not that whether they are affecting or not affecting. Whatever is your action, I am just tracking. I need a parameter to track myself. So that is the data which cannot be manipulated.
Okay.
All other data can be manipulated. So I wanted one fixed data, and that is one data which cannot be manipulated by anybody. It's a mathematical data. So we just correlate your present action, your present behavior and the market behavior, and we just try to map those things. And if similar events or similar positions reoccur, then based on that we try to go back and do the data processing.
All right.
And out of that we give the results.
Okay. So tell us, how does the time mapping approach assist in identifying various opportunities and navigating the volatile or navigating market cycles when it comes to your predictions?
So to make it very simple, what we adopted a very simple approach. Like we humans have a volatile nature, we keep changing our views, and there has to be some basis. So instead of using English date, we started using Indian Hindu calendar.
Okay.
Or I should not use word Hindu, but it's more about Indian system of calendar, Nirian system. And there we use moon position, that is called Tithi and Nakshatra.
Okay.
And there are about 27 Nakshatra, Tithi, 14 Amos and Purnima, we all know about that.
Yeah.
and so that is the data which we use for the daily movements or a short term movement. A short term again doesn't mean intraday, but particularly about 3 days to 8 days is what we call as a short term movement.
All right. So, before we talk about the weekly projections or predictions, let's talk about Samvat 2080 as a whole. We are entering into a very crucial year. There is, elections here. There is the US presidential elections as well next year. In the face of it, do you expect Samvat 2080 to be extremely volatile, or do you expect levels of somewhere around 22,000 on the index? As I have spoken to a lot of technical analysts, and most of them believe 21,500 is a given. Anything above that is something, obviously that will depend on, the results of elections as well as the earnings picture going forward. But according to your predictions, do you think those are the levels that will settle around?
So, markets have actually confirmed 21,500. In our system, there is a confirmation method wherein the previous low which we saw about 18,600 18,800 it came. That moment actually confirmed the upper band that it will go up to 21,500. In fact, it will cross 21,500. In terms of coming somewhat, we are very bullish on the markets, and we have actually told our investor not to get even panic, even if market hits 18,400 or 18,100.
Okay.
Still the trend will remain up, positive. So, remain invested and keep accumulating.
All right, remain invested and keep accumulating. That's the call. But according to your predictions, 19,464 to 19,600. That's a very challenging zone for the Nifty, right? And yesterday we hit 19,500, and we are today, we've kind of given up that mark. For this particular week, do you think we will end around that 19,500 mark, or do you think 464, 400, 450, that is the kind of level?
Ideally, we should cross 19,600 this week.
This week itself. Okay.
That is what is indicated.
Okay. That's according to your time mapping.
Yes, time mapping method.
Okay. All right. And are the stars aligned with that as well?
That's the reason I'm saying this.
Okay. So, that was about the Nifty, but sectorally, which sector do you think will hog the limelight this week?
This week, chemical sector is one sector which I'm very bullish on.
Okay, but this is one sector that has not, been able to pick up, even though there has been a lot of talk about China +1, and the likes, but it hasn't really, reflected in the stock prices. And even when it comes to earnings, the earnings haven't been all that great for these companies, right?
So this week, chemical is one sector which is, according to time map, is coming positive. Automobile, two-wheeler sector is again coming very positive, and there could be very good rise in PSU stocks.
Okay.
So those are the three sectors which will show a lot of activity. In PSU, I am more talking about natural resources, mining companies.
Mining companies.
So those are the three sectors we are bullish on, and that's it.
All right. So the strategy wise in this market, would you advise investors to look at a buy on dip kind of strategy? And of course, we know that the markets, when they run up, people look at taking some profit off the table, and they, the strategy that people adopt is mostly sell on rise.
Correct.
So vis-a-vis sell on rise, buy on dip, what is the strategy one should look at now?
Buy on dips. Because my view is bullish. So profit booking is always welcome. People making money is always a good sign. But buy on dip is our strategy for next 2 years.
For the next 2 years, taking a slightly longer time horizon, 24 to 25,000 Nifty. That's one level that market men are talking about. Next 2 years, 3 years. What is your own view on that?
My view is we will cross 24,000 maybe within 2 years.
Within 2 years itself.
And I'm more bullish on mid cap and small cap.
Okay, mid and small caps, as we all know, they have had a great bull run this time around. Even trumped their large cap peers, right? So here, any particular space that you're looking at, particularly for the mid and small cap indices?
Not really space because market breadth is going to be really good. So it's going to be more of a secular bull run is what we generally say. The turnaround stories.
Okay.
And particularly I'm saying this again the logic behind this is Jupiter is entering sign Taurus, and it will aspect Scorpio. I mean, this is a bit technical I'm getting into, but that is one reason why we are talking about turnaround stories. What we are already witnessing in some of the stocks, we will get more number of turnaround stories.
Okay. Turnaround stories is what you are suggesting
Yes.
that investors should look at. But I'm very curious to ask, curious to know rather. We've seen, of course, you've also mentioned that PSU sector has kind of, held up, and it has seen a great run, especially given the fact that this is one sector that is really actually scorned upon in the market. It's the private sector that gets all the attention and limelight, right?
Correct.
But private banks as a pocket hasn't picked up this year. Particularly HDFC Bank. I don't know whether you are comfortable talking about particular stocks, but this is one stock that analysts have kind of turned cautious on after its big merger. But do you think this is one stock that could stage a turnaround in the coming year?
Till February 2024, I do not see anything really happening in the stock, and we are not recommending and we are not participating in the stock. Maybe after 2024 February we will think of it. As of now, it is not showing any signs of rise.
And
in fact, the private sector banks overall as a space is not showing any positive till 2024.
2024. You mean
February,
early 2024?
2024 February.
Okay.
So whatever growth, it should come only after April.
Okay, after April is what the call is. But let's talk about the consumption stocks, because right now what has happened is the focus has shifted to more towards manufacturing space, right?
Correct.
You have a capital goods space, the likes of L&T, etc., where the sentiment has turned fairly bullish. But of course, consumption is riddled with its own fair share of problems. When it comes to rural demand, it's patchy, and volume growth for some of the big consumption names haven't been all that great. Do you think a consumption revival is likely going into next year?
Yes, big time, and we have actually seen in last 1 year, people have started buying the branded stuff. Somewhere people have started spending money, and people nowadays prefer to go for the brands, and that is one space. Again, if I give you the reason, when Jupiter is in Aries, it is aspecting sign Libra.
Okay.
Libra shows all the branded things, good stuff, the high-end value or high-end products. So in last 1 year, we have seen high-end products have actually gone further up.
Okay.
Like the sales for the iPhone or the expensive stuff has gone up, and once Jupiter moves, there will be one more momentum in that space.
Okay.
So consumption story is going to
get revived going forward. All right. I don't know whether you'll be able to answer this or not, but one last question. A lot is on investors' mind when it comes to the interest rate trajectory globally, and there are a lot of guesses that the Fed, US Federal Reserve may start cutting rates perhaps from June. That's one end of the markets, but then there are some optimists who believe that perhaps April is when the Fed will look at cutting rates, and once that starts happening, the RBI back home will also start cutting rates. Anything any predictions on that front?
So I used to track interest rates, and based on that, April and May is the time when we will see something negative, markets going negative on the interest rates.
Okay.
So that is one very specific call.
When you say negative on interest rates, you mean
interest rates will come
down. Okay, if that happens, of course, we'll see quite a good rally coming in on the markets, because markets have been hoping that there could be a reversal when it comes to the interest rate trajectory. And very quickly, for this particular week, what is the level at which we will end? I'm going a little ahead of myself to ask you for a particular level.
That's a technical question.
Yeah.
I said I am expecting markets to go above 19,600.
Okay.
Between 19,600 700 we should see the closure.
All right. 19,500 to 19,600 is where we will end the week. Of course, you will be sharing a weekly article with us
Yes.
where you will be, predicting the market turns for the week. So
Correct.
that will be at the start of the week. This week's article is already up. You guys can go on to moneycontrol.com and check it out. And of course, we will be waiting for all the articles that will be, that Mahesh will be sharing with us every week, and we will of course be putting it out. So, keep following Money Control for more on that front. But with that, Mahesh, thanks a lot for taking out
Thank you
time,
so much. Yeah.
joining in this morning and sharing all your insights with us. Well, with that, we've come to the end of this Money Control live stream. Thanks a lot for tuning in. But for all your other news and updates, stay tuned to Money Control.